The construction of the Death Star, one of the most ambitious projects in the galaxy, required an unimaginable allocation of resources, manpower, and logistics. To understand the scale of this undertaking, one must consider the vast array of materials, workforce, and infrastructure required, along with the intricate planning and secrecy that defined its creation. This monumental effort was a testament to the Empire's might and its ability to mobilize its vast network of resources, often at the expense of countless lives and planetary ecosystems. The Death Star's construction relied heavily on the acquisition of raw materials. The most critical of these was the ultradense metal known as quadanium steel, which formed the station's core structure and outer hull. Mining operations to extract quadanium steel were established on numerous planets, often leading to the exploitation and depletion of these worlds. Planets such as Despair became sacrificial pawns, reduced to barren wastelands as their resources were drained for the sake of the Empire's ultimate weapon. The logistical challenge of transporting such enormous quantities of material was overcome by the Empire's vast fleet of cargo ships and freighters, supported by hyperlane routes that ensured a steady flow of supplies to the construction site. In addition to quadanium steel, the Death Star required advanced technological components. Energy crystals necessary for the superlaser were sourced from specific worlds where kyber crystals were mined. These crystals were traditionally associated with the Jedi, serving as the heart of their lightsabers, but the Empire weaponized them on a massive scale. Extracting and refining kyber crystals was a delicate and highly specialized process. The sheer scale of this endeavor required the establishment of hidden mining facilities and research laboratories across the galaxy. Planets with rich kyber deposits, such as Jeddah, were subjugated and systematically stripped of their natural resources, often leading to local uprisings and severe ecological devastation. The workforce required for the Death Star's construction was another staggering logistical challenge. Millions of beings from various species were conscripted, enslaved, or otherwise coerced into labor. The Empire's use of forced labor, including political prisoners and conquered populations, was a hallmark of its approach. These individuals toiled under grueling and inhumane conditions, often working until their deaths. The sheer scale of the workforce necessitated the creation of enormous spaceborne construction facilities and orbital stations to house and feed these workers while maintaining operational secrecy. The role of the Imperial military was pivotal in ensuring the success of the project. The Empire's navy not only transported resources but also provided security for the construction sites. The secrecy of the project was paramount, and the military's role extended to enforcing strict information control. Entire systems were patrolled to prevent any knowledge of the Death Star from leaking to potential rebels or sympathizers. Even the workers themselves were often kept in the dark about the full scope of their tasks, with work segmented into smaller, seemingly unrelated components. Coordination and oversight for a project of this magnitude required the full administrative machinery of the Empire. The Imperial bureaucracy, headquartered on Coruscant, played a critical role in orchestrating the logistical effort. High-ranking officials, including Grand Moff Tarkin and Director Orson Krennic, were tasked with overseeing various aspects of the project. Krennic, for example, spearheaded the research and development of the superlaser, while Tarkin focused on operational integration and command. The ability of the Empire to marshal its administrative capabilities, despite its inherent inefficiencies, was a testament to the ruthless drive and authoritarian control that defined its regime. The Death Star's construction also depended heavily on technological innovation and scientific expertise. The project brought together some of the galaxy's most brilliant scientists, many of whom were recruited through coercion or manipulation. Chief among them was Galen Erso, whose knowledge of energy systems and kyber crystal physics was instrumental in the development of the superlaser. These scientists were often isolated from the outside world, working in secure and monitored environments to ensure their loyalty and prevent leaks. The integration of their innovations into the Death Star's design exemplified the Empire's ability to weaponize intellect on an unprecedented scale. Secrecy was a cornerstone of the Death Star's construction. The Empire went to great lengths to hide the project from both internal dissenters and external threats. The decision to construct the station near remote or uninhabited worlds allowed the Empire to avoid drawing attention to its operations. Similarly, misinformation campaigns and the systematic elimination of those who posed a risk of exposure were standard practice. Entire planetary populations were sometimes annihilated to ensure the project remained hidden, demonstrating the lengths to which the Empire would go to protect its ultimate weapon. The funding of the Death Star project was another critical consideration. The resources required for its construction placed an enormous strain on the Empire's economy, but its centralized control over galactic trade and taxation provided a financial foundation for the project. The Empire's oppressive taxation policies and exploitation of wealthier core worlds ensured a steady flow of credits. Moreover, the pillaging of conquered systems and the seizure of valuable assets from dissidents provided additional funding. The economic impact of the project was significant, often leading to discontent among the galactic populace, but the Empire deemed it a necessary sacrifice for the perceived security and order the Death Star would provide. The logistical coordination of all these elements was a feat in itself. The Empire relied on a vast network of transport ships, supply chains, and communication systems to ensure the smooth operation of the project. The use of advanced droids for both labor and coordination tasks played a vital role in maintaining efficiency. Automated systems monitored inventory, managed construction schedules, and tracked the flow of resources, reducing the potential for human error. However, the reliance on such systems also created vulnerabilities, as the rebellion later exploited to uncover critical weaknesses in the Death Star's design. The sheer magnitude of the Death Star project highlights the Empire's ability to exert its will over the galaxy on an unprecedented scale. From the vast quantities of quadanium steel and kyber crystals to the millions of lives conscripted into its service, the Death Star was a manifestation of the Empire's philosophy of dominance through fear and power. The logistical expertise required to coordinate this effort, combined with the brutal tactics employed to secure the necessary resources, underscores the lengths to which the Empire was willing to go to achieve its vision of control. The immense scale of the Death Star project required not only physical resources and manpower but also advanced strategic planning and engineering precision. The orbital assembly of the Death Star presented challenges that few other galactic projects had faced. Unlike planetary construction, which benefits from the support of gravity and natural landscapes, the Death Star's assembly demanded the use of zero-gravity construction techniques. Massive orbital shipyards, supported by fleets of transport and construction vessels, served as the hubs where the various components of the station were fabricated and assembled. These facilities were often accompanied by security fleets to deter any potential interference, whether from organized resistance or opportunistic pirates. One of the critical challenges was ensuring the station's structural integrity under the immense stress it would face, including its gravitational pull and the tremendous energy generated by its superlaser. Engineers had to design systems that could distribute energy and forces across the station's massive frame without compromising its functionality. This required not only cutting-edge materials like quadanium steel but also innovations in energy distribution networks, shielding technologies, and internal environmental control systems to support the millions of personnel who would inhabit the station. The Empire's approach to labor logistics also deserves closer examination. To maximize efficiency, the construction was broken into modular components that were fabricated at different locations across the galaxy. This distributed approach allowed the Empire to utilize multiple industrial centers, reducing the risk of bottlenecks and making it harder for spies or saboteurs to piece together the true nature of the project. Components were then transported to the main assembly site, where they were integrated into the station's superstructure. This required a near-flawless coordination of supply chains, which the Empire achieved through its centralized communication and command networks. However, this method was not without its costs. The widespread conscription of labor and commandeering of industrial facilities often disrupted local economies and provoked unrest. To suppress such dissent, the Empire relied on its military and intelligence agencies. The Imperial Security Bureau, ISB, in particular, was instrumental in monitoring and eliminating any perceived threats to the project's secrecy. Entire communities and industrial sectors were often subjected to surveillance, arrests, and even purges to ensure compliance. The psychological toll on those involved, particularly forced laborers, was immense, as they were not only subjected to grueling conditions, but also lived under constant fear of retribution. The Death Star's energy systems, particularly the superlaser, represented a technological achievement unlike any other. The superlaser was powered by a complex network of kyber crystals that were amplified through intricate focusing mechanisms. The process of aligning and synchronizing these crystals required a level of precision and expertise that pushed the boundaries of existing technology. Research facilities dedicated to this effort often operated in total isolation, their staff subjected to stringent security protocols to prevent any leakage of information. The energy output of the superlaser was so immense that it required an advanced cooling and venting system to prevent catastrophic failures. This system would later become one of the station's critical vulnerabilities, a testament to the inherent risks of such an ambitious design. Despite the Empire's vast resources, the Death Star project was fraught with inefficiencies and setbacks. The sheer complexity of the endeavor meant that delays were inevitable, and the centralized nature of the Empire's decision-making often exacerbated these issues. Corruption and power struggles among Imperial officials further complicated matters, with ambitious individuals like Krennic and Tarkin vying for recognition and control. These internal conflicts sometimes led to mismanagement, as resources were diverted or misallocated in the pursuit of personal agendas. Moreover, the environmental and ethical costs of the project cannot be overstated. Entire ecosystems were destroyed as planets were strip-mined for resources, leading to irreversible damage to their biospheres. The use of forced labor and the brutal conditions under which many workers were kept further underscored the Empire's disregard for life and sustainability. The destruction of cultural sites, such as the plundering of Jedha's Kyber temples, also demonstrated the Empire's willingness to erase history and heritage in its quest for dominance. The completion of the Death Star marked a turning point in galactic history, but it also highlighted the inherent contradictions and weaknesses of the Empire's approach. While the station was intended to serve as a symbol of the Empire's unassailable power, the resources and sacrifices required to construct it left scars across the galaxy. These scars fueled resentment and resistance, ultimately contributing to the rise of the Rebel Alliance. The project's immense cost, both in material terms and in the lives lost, became a rallying point for those who opposed the Empire's tyranny. In the end, the Death Star stood not only as a technological marvel but also as a grim reminder of the lengths to which authoritarian regimes will go to consolidate power. Its construction was a testament to the Empire's capacity for logistical coordination and its willingness to exploit every corner of the galaxy to achieve its aims. However, it also revealed the fragility of such endeavors, as the very factors that enabled its creation, secrecy, coercion, and centralized control, also sowed the seeds of its eventual downfall. The eradication of the Geonosian population was a chilling and ruthless aspect of the Empire's efforts to construct the Death Star. Geonosis, a barren desert world in the Outer Rim, played a critical role in the initial phases of the project. The planet was home to the Geonosians, a hive-mind insectoid species known for their engineering prowess and expertise in large-scale industrial construction. Their natural abilities, combined with the planet's existing droid manufacturing infrastructure, made Geonosis an ideal location for the initial design and assembly of the Death Star. The decision to involve the Geonosians was initially pragmatic. Under the leadership of Archduke Poggle the Lesser, the Geonosians had already demonstrated their capabilities by creating massive droid armies for the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. Following the war, the Empire exploited their technical skills and infrastructure to develop the Death Star schematics and begin preliminary construction. Geonosis became a key hub for the project, and its inhabitants were pressed into service to work on the station's early stages. However, as construction progressed and the Empire's plans solidified, the Geonosians' involvement became a liability. The Empire's obsession with secrecy demanded that no one outside the highest ranks of Imperial command be aware of the Death Star's true purpose. The Geonosians, who had intimate knowledge of the project's early development, were viewed as potential security risks. Their hive-mind communication and communal structure only amplified the Empire's fears, as any one Geonosian could theoretically relay information to the entire species. In response to this perceived threat, the Empire implemented a brutal and systematic extermination of the Geonosian population. Using a combination of military force and chemical weapons, the Empire ensured that the entire species was wiped out. The destruction was thorough, leaving Geonosis desolate and its surface scarred by the remnants of Imperial attacks. The few Geonosians who survived the initial extermination were hunted down and eliminated to prevent any chance of the project's exposure. The Empire's choice to commit genocide on Geonosis was driven not only by a desire to maintain secrecy, but also by its disregard for non-human species. The Geonosians were viewed as expendable tools, valuable only for their labor and technical expertise. Once their utility had been exhausted, the Empire discarded them without hesitation, exemplifying its callousness and lack of moral restraint. The extermination of the Geonosians also served as a grim warning to other species and worlds under Imperial rule. It demonstrated the lengths to which the Empire was willing to go to maintain control and protect its ambitions. By eradicating an entire species to safeguard a single project, the Empire reinforced its reputation for brutal efficiency and unrelenting dominance. The ecological and cultural impact of the genocide on Geonosis was profound. The planet, once teeming with life, became a lifeless wasteland. The intricate hives and architectural marvels that the Geonosians had built over millennia were abandoned, left to crumble in the harsh desert winds. The loss of the Geonosians also meant the disappearance of their unique culture and contributions to galactic engineering, a stark reminder of the Empire's willingness to erase entire civilizations in pursuit of its goals. This atrocity was not without its consequences. The genocide on Geonosis was one of many acts of cruelty that fueled the growing discontent among oppressed populations across the galaxy. The rebellion later learned of the Empire's actions on Geonosis, using it as evidence of the Empire's tyranny to rally support for their cause. The systematic destruction of the Geonosians became a symbol of the Empire's disregard for life and the lengths it would go to consolidate its power. In the end, the destruction of Geonosis and its population underscored the dark realities of the Empire's rule. The decision to annihilate an entire species to secure the Death Star's construction highlighted the cold, calculating nature of Imperial strategy, as well as the inherent fragility of a regime built on fear and oppression.